So, the cost of running an EV is something that's very much debated, and it's often compared to the petrol equivalent or the diesel equivalent of the car that we're talking about. Now, these figures are always changing because the amount of, how the electricity cost changes, the amount that petrol cost changes, the cost of the actual car changes, everything's always altering. So it's always important to keep yourself up to date when it comes to these figures at the end of the day. And there's been some new ones released by one of the biggest charging apps or charging kind of I don't know what you call it, a charging vendor effectively, an energy company, I suppose, in a sense. So let's have a look at these figures, guys, because they are interesting and they do paint a picture that, it's still cheaper to run an EV, and it's actually in a lot of cases cheaper to buy an EV and run it. And obviously, EV cars do cost more usually, but even with that in mind, it's still cheaper in the long term to have an electric vehicle than a petrol powered car. The average cost of charging an electric vehicle at home is around half the 1,205 yearly cost for fueling a petrol car. But latest figures show that smart charging can reduce the cost to 400, and vehicle to grid VTG charging can slash that annual cost to just 250 quid or less. These savings can be magnified for fleets transitioning over to EVs, and these figures have also been revealed by CrowdCharge from its fleet of customers using smart charging technology and from the company's vehicle to grid customers at home. Smart charging an EV using technology that is available now has resulted in cost savings of around £200 per year compared to normal EV charging, as well as emission savings of up to 63%, representing a significant breakthrough for the company's fleets. CrowdCharge's smart charging technology allows EVs to be charged with the lowest cost and lowest carbon electricity. Now, if you're wondering what the actual emissions are for this, obviously, electric vehicles don't emit any kind of greenhouse gases, but the electricity that is used to power them, that is generated using greenhouse gases in some cases, of course. Not all, some of it's renewable, but not all of it, of course. Figures from the company's home-based vehicle-to-grid customers have shown that the drivers can charge their EVs for just £250 a year, and sometimes for free when combined with home renewables such as solar, by charging at times when electricity costs are low and selling electricity back to the grid when costs are high. CrowdCharge's V2G customers have been using Nissan Leafs with CADMO DC charging stations at home, but a new VTG trial in workplaces, the V2VNY project, is using electric vehicles with CCS, which is now the standard technology on virtually all new EVs using AC charging. The project uses CrowdCharge software to choose when to import and export electricity based on cost and carbon. V2G using AC charging isn't widely commercially available at the moment, but will start to be rolled out by car manufacturers over the next year. These latest figures show annual cost savings of almost £1,000 for fueling EVs using V2G compared to petrol vehicles, are all the more relevant now against the backdrop of current debates around the zero emissions vehicle ZEV mandate. And I've already had words about that. I've done a video that should be out at the same time as this one as well, kind of going over how the discounts that these manufacturers are putting in are not sustainable, of course. That's helping drive the demand, but even that is not enough to meet the current regulations. So I think this government does really need to actually take a look at this and revise it. And they are taking a look at it apparently, but let's see what actually happens with that. And don't worry, we'll be here to report it on the motoringchronicle.com. EVs are widely reported as being more expensive than petrol or diesel vehicles, which may be true in many cases for the initial purchase price, but when the whole life running costs are taken into account, EVs are typically cheaper than ICE vehicles. And for used cars, quite often the equivalent EV car is actually now cheaper than the used petrol car. The implications for fleets in terms of costs and emissions savings are significant. CrowdCharge's technology allows companies to monitor and significantly reduce their carbon emissions from charging electric vehicles in the workplace. Harnessing artificial intelligence (AI), CrowdCharge enables accurate measurements of real-world EV charging emissions, which in itself can result in carbon savings of around 40% compared to standard EV emission reporting figures. Further carbon reductions of up to 25% can be made using the intelligent AI-powered CrowdCharging application and smart charging software as well. Latest data shows that the fleets can achieve CO2 savings of around 63% in total, with reductions of up to 89% in some cases. This represents a significant breakthrough when it enables companies and other organizations to achieve game-changing improvements when it comes to their fleets for carbon reporting, as well as part of their progress towards net zero. The industry-leading smart charging solution optimizes the time at which electric vehicles is charged based on the carbon intensity of the electricity generated by the national grid, which in turn is influenced by the proportion of renewable energy used. Crowd charger technology can also help to reduce the need for grid updates for commercial sites by intelligently managing the charging of multiple EVs. And there's some quotes there at the bottom of the article. Like I said, there's some more info in the article as well. If you want to go to the website and check it out, I do implore you do so. But yeah, if you can say it is cheaper to run an EV than it is a petrol or diesel equivalent, I don't know why this is a debate, to be honest. The only thing that changes is just how much by. That's the thing. How much does change by? And which obviously alters all the time. Like I said, the cost of petrol cars, diesel cars, the actual electricity, the petrol diesel prices fluctuating, that all comes into it. And that's always changing. But it's always, if you can afford an electric car, if you can afford that initial actual cost of one, it's probably better to have one in terms of the cost of it than a petrol equivalent. It just is. But, comments, guys, as always. If you want to weigh in on the debate on that, let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And of course, keep it subscribed to the motoringchronicle.com to see much more content on the world of motoring just like this.